Imagine being the CEO of the most prestigious music award show on the planet, and suddenly the biggest music group in the world tells you, "We're not participating this year." That's exactly what just happened to Harvey Mason Jr., CEO of the Recording Academy, the organization behind the Grammy Awards. Yes, guys, ARMY around the world has been buzzing over the past few days. RM, Jin, Suga, jhope, Jimin, V, and Jungkook, all 7 members of BTS, jointly announced that they are refusing to submit their music for consideration at the 2027 Grammy Awards. And to make things even more intense, after days of silence, the Grammy side finally responded. What's the real reason behind this massive decision? What did the Grammy CEO actually say about this boycott? And why is ARMY rallying even harder behind BTS's choice? We're breaking it all down in this video. Don't go anywhere, and make sure to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell so you never miss the latest K-pop news. Okay, before we get into the Grammy CEO's response, let's rewind a bit so you understand exactly how this all unfolded. So here's the story. On Wednesday, July 29th, 2026, the K-pop world was stunned by posts that appeared simultaneously on the personal Instagram accounts of all 7 BTS members. RM, Jin, Suga, jhope, Jimin, V, and Jungkook each posted a statement with identical wording. They announced that they had decided not to submit their music for consideration at this year's Grammy Awards. What made this even bigger news is that the reason they gave was no small matter. In essence, they wanted their music to be heard and appreciated for what it is, rather than being grouped or categorized based on region of origin or language. They closed the statement with a note of thanks to ARMY and everyone who continues to support them. Now, this decision, guys, didn't come out of nowhere. It all traces back to a month earlier, when the Recording Academy, the organization overseeing the Grammy Awards, announced 5 new categories for the 2027 Grammy Awards. One of the new categories was Best Asian Pop Music Performance, intended to recognize pop music from across Asia, including K-pop, J-pop, and C-pop. On paper, this new category might look like a form of appreciation, right? But the reaction on the ground turned out to be far more complicated. Many people, including a large portion of ARMY and music industry observers, felt this category could actually backfire. Instead of celebrating Asian music, there were concerns it might effectively sideline Asian artists from the major categories like Album of the Year, Record of the Year, and Song of the Year. The worry was that Asian musicians would keep getting funneled into this special category and find it harder to compete in the general categories that have long been dominated by Western artists. And this is what makes the moment feel especially heavy, guys, because BTS actually has a fairly close relationship with the Recording Academy. All 7 BTS members have in fact been registered as voting members of the Recording Academy since 2019. So this isn't just outside artists protesting from a distance. This is insiders taking a firm stand. For those who don't know, the submission period for the 2027 Grammy Awards is actually still ongoing, running from July 7th to August 21st, 2026. The awards ceremony itself, the 69th Grammy Awards, is scheduled for February 7th, 2027. That means BTS made this decision right in the middle of the submission window, not after it had passed, not right at the last minute, but squarely in the middle of the process. That's part of why so many people see this as a deliberate statement rather than simply missing a deadline. Before we move on to the Grammy CEO's reaction, it's important to understand just how much the Grammys have meant to BTS's journey. BTS isn't just any K-pop group. They're the first K-pop group in history to receive a Grammy nomination. Their journey at the awards began at the 2021 Grammy Awards, when Dynamite earned them a nomination for Best Pop Duo/Group Performance. The following year, at the 2022 Grammy Awards, they were nominated again in the same category for Butter. Their peak came at the 2023 Grammy Awards, where BTS landed 3 nominations at once. They were nominated for Album of the Year for Music of the Spheres, alongside Coldplay, Best Pop Duo/Group Performance for My Universe, also a Coldplay collaboration, and Best Music Video for Yet to Come, The Most Beautiful Moment. Unfortunately, despite 5 nominations across 3 different years, BTS has never actually won a Grammy. Ironically, They were once the only K-pop group with a Grammy nomination to their name, until 2026, when several other K-pop artists also started landing major nominations in top categories. So picture where BTS stands right now. They're K-pop's pioneers at the Grammys. They're official voting members of the Recording Academy, and they recently delivered a massive halftime performance at the 2026 World Cup final in New Jersey in July, alongside some of the biggest names in music. Their standing in the global music industry is beyond question. And yet, at this exact point, they chose to step back and decline to participate. This isn't a decision made by a group with nothing to lose. It's a decision made by a group that actually has a great deal at stake. Now, guys, let's get to the part everyone's been waiting for. After BTS's announcement dominated social media for several days, Recording Academy CEO Harvey Mason Jr. finally issued an official response. The statement was shared with several media outlets, including Variety and ABC News, about 2 days after BTS's announcement, around the end of July 2026. In his statement, Harvey Mason Jr. said he was saddened to hear that BTS had chosen not to participate in this year's Grammy process. At the same time, he emphasized that as a fellow music creator, he understood and respected the decision made by the 7 BTS members. Interestingly, Mason didn't stop at expressing sympathy. He also tried to clarify one of the key points at the center of the controversy: the new Best Asian Pop Music Performance category. According to him, the category wasn't created to isolate or separate Asian musicians from the main categories. On the contrary, he said its purpose was to celebrate the growth and diversity of pop music coming out of Asia. Mason also stressed a point that he felt many people had misunderstood. Artists who submit their work in genre categories like Asian pop, jazz, or country still remain eligible to compete in general categories such as Record of the Year, Album of the Year, and Song of the Year. In his view, having a specific genre category doesn't automatically exclude an artist from competing in the top categories. He framed the addition of new categories as an effort to expand recognition for more music, not to limit or box artists in based on region or language. So, to sum it up, the Recording Academy's response through its CEO came across as fairly diplomatic. On one hand, they respected BTS's decision. There was no defensive or combative tone. On the other hand, they clearly made an effort to defend the new category policy, framing its intent as inclusive rather than divisive. The question now is whether this clarification is enough to ease the disappointment among the public and ARMY. That's exactly what we'll get into in the next segment. Once the news broke, social media instantly turned into a battleground of opinions, guys. Hashtags related to BTS and the Grammys quickly started trending across platforms, from X, formerly Twitter, to various K-pop forums. The vast majority of ARMY showed strong support for BTS's decision. For many fans, this move was seen as a courageous act, a way of voicing something that's long been felt but rarely spoken about so openly by artists of this stature. Many argued that the Best Asian Pop Music Performance category, while sounding appreciative on the surface, could actually reinforce a kind of segregation within the music industry. The concern was that music from Asia would be treated as needing its own separate class, set apart from the main competition long dominated by Western artists. This discussion even expanded further. Some netizens pointed out that this situation reflects a much bigger issue in how the global music industry, including the Grammys, treats non-Western music. Some argued that regional categories like this one, even with good intentions, often end up being used as a reason to overlook those artists in the main categories. The debate even reignited older conversations about representation and inclusivity at major music award shows like the Grammys. On the other hand, some members of the public tried to view the situation more neutrally. They argued that the Recording Academy's original intent was actually reasonable, to give more space to Asian musicians who may have historically been underexposed in the major categories. For this group, the Grammy CEO's explanation seemed reasonable enough, and they hoped both sides could eventually find middle ground. What's clear is that this moment opened up a much larger conversation about how the global music industry views and treats music from outside the US and Europe. And for ARMY themselves, they've made sure to keep reaffirming their support for BTS, no matter what decision the 7 members make. Now, if we zoom out a bit, guys, this moment isn't just about BTS versus the Grammys. It's becoming something of a turning point that could have much wider implications for the global music industry as a whole. For years, the Grammys have been known as one of the most prestigious music award shows in the world. But at the same time, the show has also frequently been criticized for lacking representation of music from outside the US and Europe. The rise of K-pop as a major force in global music over the past decade has forced many big music institutions, including the Grammys, to start adapting. But that adaptation, it turns out, isn't as simple as it might seem. When the Recording Academy tried to respond to the K-pop phenomenon and other Asian music movements by creating a dedicated category, the response ended up backfiring somewhat, since it wasn't communicated or executed carefully enough. BTS's decision to opt out shows that major artists now have enough courage and leverage to push back against systems they see as unfair, even if it means giving up a shot at a prestigious award. This also sends a signal to other music award institutions around the world. How they categorize and treat music from different regions is being closely watched and critically evaluated by the public, not simply accepted at face value. If a category or policy is seen as potentially marginalizing rather than embracing, the backlash from both fans and major artists can come quickly and forcefully. For BTS themselves, this move also reinforces their image as a group that doesn't just focus on musical achievement and sales, but is also willing to take a stand on issues they consider important. This aligns with their track record of frequently addressing social messages through both their music and their public actions. So what happens next in this saga, guys? As of this video, there's no sign that BTS plans to reverse their decision and join the 2027 Grammy Awards. The submission period is still technically open until August 21st, 2026, so there's theoretically still time if anything were to change. But given how firm and unified their statement was across all 7 members' personal accounts, a sudden reversal seems unlikely. The bigger question now is whether the Recording Academy will conduct any further review of the Best Asian Pop Music Performance category. Will there be any policy changes, or at least clearer communication about how this category works alongside the main categories? That's something we'll have to wait and see. What's certain is that ARMY around the world won't waver in their support for BTS just because the group is sitting out one award show, no matter how prestigious it is. After all, BTS's success and influence on the global music industry has already proven not to depend entirely on validation from a single award institution. What's also interesting is that BTS's absence at the 2027 Grammy Awards will likely draw plenty of attention on its own. The public and media are bound to keep drawing comparisons and asking questions, especially if other Asian artists end up winning in the main categories. This is likely to remain a hot topic of discussion all the way up to the 69th Grammy Awards ceremony on February 7th, 2027. So, guys, that's the full rundown of this massive story between BTS and the Grammy Awards that everyone's been talking about. From the 7 BTS members' surprising decision to withdraw their music from Grammy 2027 consideration, to the reasoning behind concerns over the Best Asian Pop Music Performance category, and finally the official clarification from Recording Academy CEO Harvey Mason Jr., who said he was saddened but still respects the group's decision. What do you guys think? Was BTS's move a bold and necessary decision to speak up about representation for Asian music? Or do you think the Grammys' explanation about the good intentions behind the new category deserves a fair chance first? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. I'd genuinely love to hear your perspective on this. Don't forget to like this video if you found it helpful, share it with other ARMY members who might not know about this latest development yet, and most importantly, subscribe to this channel and turn on notifications so you never miss the latest K-pop updates, including how this Grammy 2027 saga continues to unfold. See you in the next video, guys. Keep supporting BTS, stay critical about issues in the music industry, and I'll see you soon.